Hello and welcome to Smash Writing. I am your host Justin. Today we don't have Paulie here. Paulie's off doing Paulie things. That's alright. We can still have a good time. I put together this horror movie monsters and killers tier list for y'all to enjoy. I know some people like tier lists and some people don't. And it seems the argument especially is where they go and everything like that, but that's part of the fun for me. I like to always see people's ideas, people's opinions, what they like, what they don't like, and so much. So I figured we'll have a bit of fun without Paulie, and we'll make up one of these tier lists. And today I have about 25 or 26, actually I think more like 27 now that I think about it, killers and monsters to go through, ranking from all different kinds of movies and throughout the years. If you don't see one you like, it's not a personal thing or anything like that. I'd have to watch the movie for me to judge them, because I don't like judging things that I haven't seen. I just don't feel like I can do like a partial judgment on that. So yeah, that's where we stand. So if you don't see one you like, you can let me know in the comments down below, but got the ones here right now. So without further ado, let's jump in with one that's probably going to go right to the top of the list, and that would be the Xenomorph from the Alien movies. What more can you possibly say about this guy? He's one of the most perfect aliens we've ever seen in a movie. Is deadly to the max with the acid blood, the look and the design, how he just seemingly blends into the background until the very last moment. He goes up against just about anybody and is always a threat to come out victorious against them. And while the movies have kind of dipped in value, the look, and anytime you see him, you are automatically excited to see him. Up next, I know that a lot of people will be wondering why I went with the pick I chose. Nothing against Sissy Spec. I think she did great. I just have a personal preference for Chloe Grace Moretz. Sorry, I'm butchering the hell out of this name. And I'm still going to put her an A for her portrayal as Carrie. I think what Carrie is so haunting is the fact that we always knew someone back in high school who got treated unfairly, and it was kind of, you get kind of excited through this movie to see her get her comeuppance, or not her comeuppance, but see the bullies get their comeuppance at her hands. She's always been portrayed as just an ultimate revenge story kind of deal. And while her character's great, I just can't budge her into S, even if it was Sissy. She's sitting in the A tier list. Alright, up next we have Chuckie from Child's Play, obviously. And as tempting as it is to give him the S class, he's got the iconic look. You know him. He's scary. He scarred a lot of people who are now afraid of dolls because of what he did in the first two movies. But I don't think I could put him in the top tier, just because he really has gone down a lot in following sequels. He saved himself a little bit here and there. The comedy has been more hit than miss. But I think I'm going to have to put him in A. I can't put him any lower than A, because he's an iconic character in the horror genre. But he's not quite top of the line the way the Xenomorph is. Up next we have got... Now, I know some people probably would have went with a Pinhead for this list, but I've always preferred the nurses, even in going into the games. I will give them a B. In the games, they completely destroyed me. I just ran away as fast as I can anytime I saw them. And in the movie, they were probably the best part about the movie was the scenes with the nurse. Just because of their movement in general, the fact that they really wouldn't move unless they sensed your movement going around, and then they just attacked wildly. And the scenes with them were always insane, and always the best parts. Like, I could watch just those scenes alone from those movies and be happy. Up next is kind of a lowbrow one. Not really, I don't want to call him lowbrow, because I think this is just a great monster in general. It's the Djinn from the Wishmaster. Oh, I'd really like to put him in S, but that's a whole lot of personal preference, which is kind of what these tier lists are for. What Andrew Divoff did with this character in general, and yeah, I'm putting him ahead of Chuckie. You can just be mad at me for it. What Andrew Divoff did with this character was he made a character that wasn't physically threatening. Like, he could probably mess you up if you asked him to in the right way, that he can manipulate you. It was the fact that he was just so good of a talker. Andrew Divoff did that so well. He gave us a monster that could disarm you with words and just make you slip up and say something that he can use against you. And it came off so well in the first 2 movies of the Wishmaster series. We won't talk about part 3 and 4. That didn't have Divoff, and that kind of really does hurt him when I think about it. I might actually have to bump him down. I don't want to, but if I did it with Chuckie, then I have to do it with him. We'll put him above the nurses at least, because I could at least try to save some little bit of pride in what's one of my favorite monsters of all time. If you haven't seen the Wishmaster movies, go and watch part 1 and 2 for sure. Divoff and this monster are just great parts of those movies. They would have been so much worse off, and became so much worse off when they lost Andrew Divoff. Now, the next one, yeah, he's just going right up there. I'll put him above the Xenomorph even. It's Freddy Krueger. What more can you said? When he wants to be scary, he's terrifying, and when he wants to be funny and heckle you, he does just that. The saying, it's one thing to beat up a man, it's another to trash talk him while he's doing it, and Freddy pretty much personifies that. He's just one of those perfect monsters we've ever seen, and especially in my eyes. He is one of the rarer monsters to scare me when I was a kid, and just absolute blast anytime I watch any of his movies, and that includes 6, which catches a lot of hell. Up next, we have Ghostface, and he's probably going to go into S. He really was the slasher of the 90s. Without him, the slashers from the 90s genre would have just been death. Just, no pun intended, but he really brought the slasher genre screaming back after it was on its way all the way to the bottom. Up next is really disappointing, but I'm going to probably have to put Ginger in C. I don't think it's the worst. The problem with I love the Ginger Snap movies. If you haven't watched Ginger Snaps, go and check that movie out. It's a fantastic werewolf movie. But at the same time, they probably had one of the worst werewolves in movies that wasn't a CGI piece. Then it's kind of sad to think about it, because the entire movie is fantastic. Her transformation going through and becoming this iconic monster. And the monster does not look good. And Catherine Isabella, as much as I really enjoyed her performance, the monster really hurt it. So she's going to go into the C, just because of her character leading up to that transformation was enough to save it from the bottom of the barrel. And this will probably upset quite a few of you, but I'm not putting him in S. I just don't think that highly of Michael. He is iconic. He's legendary. You see the face and you see everything about him, but he has never been high up on my list. The ones I enjoyed were Part 4 and H2O, and they're just retconning all of that now for whatever reasons. I'm sure they have it, but you see him, you recognize it immediately on first look at who it is. He has some great kills. He's done some great things. Just for me and my personal preference, he's not at the top tier. Who is, though, and this may rile some Tim Curry fans up. Not that I don't like Tim Curry. I think Tim Curry did good, but Bill Skarsgård in Part 1 was just perfect. So many people were doubting it. So many people were saying he'd never top what Tim Curry did. And not only did he come in and he topped what Tim Curry did, he rose the bar to unbelievable heights. Just the body movements and the way he talked and the way he just got under your skin with just looking at you really embodied everything like a supernatural being in an uncomfortable body would look like. Not supernatural, extraterrestrial being in a human form would look like. Like, he just felt uncomfortable in his skin, and you can tell there's so much more to him just by the way he stared at you. And that couldn't have been portrayed any better. Alright, next up is our representative from the land of 13 ghosts. And I really had a hard time picking which monster I was going to go with from the 13 Ghost Clan. There are so many really good ones. And at the end of the day, I went with the Jackal. And I'm going to put the Jackal up in A. Just because out of all the ghosts, she's probably the one that I would want to mess with the least. I mean, you had a lot of them who can destroy you and everything, but she just ran them down and attacked anyone who got close and just was barbaric and off the chains. And despite the other ones being presented as more deadly, she always just came off as the deadliest. Up next, we got Jason Voorhees, straight out of Camp Crystal Lake and going all the way up to the top tier. I know that seems really weird. You got Freddy and Jason above Michael, and those tend to be the big three. I think Jason's above Michael. Just the intimidation look that he has on his size, the hockey mask being a little bit more iconic than the Michael Myers one. Just the way he held himself, the way he moved, the way he just overpowered everything in his path. Just the size alone puts Jason just a little bit above Michael. They're still iconic. I mean, I can't take anything away from Michael being down here, but Jason's definitely better, and Jason would win in a fight no matter what they tell you. Up next, we have got the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers. And look, kill, size, just the menacing way he goes about things. Even in his lesser movies, I'm still just glad we got a Creeper movie. He's always doing good. I even kind of like Jeepers Creepers 3. Him hunting in the daytime was kind of refreshing. I know it's not the same as him hunting at night. You don't have him hiding in the shadows. He kind of just outright charges you through the field, and he does lose a bit. But the look and the design of him is just so great. It's so wonderful. You don't know anything about him. He keeps himself. His mystique and his aura has always been there. And just, how is he going to kill people next? Because he has so many different weapons in his truck, and his truck's a weapon. Just one of the perfect killers that we've got. And I was going to rank them in order. I've kind of given up on that. If I were to rank them in order, I would bust him down here, him up here. We'll actually put him below the alien. Yeah, that seems about right here. I'm gonna keep Chuckie there. Yeah, all right. I was gonna say I started sizing in order, but I kind of gave up on that. But there you go. I put him back. All right. Next up, we got Jennifer from Jennifer's Body. It's just a succubus demon from what I'm aware of. It wasn't a bad look. She was definitely scary when she wanted to be. I would kind of put her in B or C. Did she do better than Ginger? I'm gonna put her in B, just because I do think that she was more consistent through the film, just building up. You don't quite know what she is until you, as you go on, you find out what's happening, and she's just getting more and more off the rails, and just a little bit more entertaining. Next up, we got Jigsaw from Saw. And this is one franchise I've never been able to get into. I kind of stopped paying attention after 2. I watched 3. After you get past all the puppets and the glitz and the glamour and all of his puppet shows, he is just a man in a hood. I'm going to put him below Ginger, just because he is more interesting than some people at the bottom, because he has that moral argument about making people who have giving up on life and making them choose, like, do you want to do better or do you just want to die now, as an intriguing topic. I thought after 3 it kind of got old, to the point where I don't even really know what goes on. But for the most part, he's an intriguing killer. He's different, definitely for the times, definitely at the time. And he wasn't that bad. He was just the man in the hood, and sometimes that's all you need, and that's all he needed to be. Next up, there's another name I'm going to butcher. Kayako from The Grudge. Oh, just the body movements and the way she looks, the skin, just that murky, that pale white skin, and the sounds and the body contortions. That's up there. That's creep factor all the way. I won't put her above Michael or the Jackal, but come on, go to the end of the line. There you go. And that's all I gotta really say about her. Just creepy, disturbing. Ugh. Alright, Leprechaun. He's more funny than he's ever been scary. It's a nice look and all, but nothing really, really special about him. Especially since after the first one, it just all went to be comedy. Yeah, much as I'd really like to bump him up the line, that's all he really was. Oh, another one. I was never a big fan, but definitely had the look. Little kids are always good on the creep factor, and can't remember her damn name. I'll remember it in like 5 or 6 minutes. But yeah, she's that look. Just her becoming more and more possessed in her body, just becoming more cut up and blooded and just pea soup fluids, and yeah, Regan definitely knocked it out of the park. Like, put her in S. I know I'm not going to put her in S. The movie Exorcist never really did it for me. I think at the time I'd watched it, I'd seen so many possession movies, and they were all emulating off The Exorcist, and she does get that first dibs in being the first one to do so many of these things. But never did it because I'd seen so many and they were all just ripping her off anyway. Alright, we're got to the first of 2 vampires here on our list. David is going to go all the way to the S. Now, they've done so many different looks on vampires throughout the years that there's so many different ways people view them, how they should look, how they should act. David from The Lost Boys is probably one of the best. Just, they didn't change much, and that's what's perfect. They gave him the wrinkled eyes, and he had more of the demonic, more of his skull seemed to be showing in this form as his skin got stretched back. The orange eye contacts are perfect, and the teeth. So keep it simple. That's all they did. They kept this transformation really simple to the point where you knew he wasn't human. But at the same time, they didn't do much to him, and when they do too much, you fall off the rails. And we're going to talk a little bit about an example that did fall off the rails for me. But yeah, David's probably one of the best vampires of all time. Maybe behind the guy from Fright Night, Saladin. I can't remember his name. Why didn't I write it down? Gotta start doing better on that research. But David's the one we're talking about now. David's top tier. Just the attitude that I am the perfect, we are the ones, join us, or get out of our way kind of deal. Or get run over, pretty much, is more like it. Alright. This one might be a little bit of an issue for some who preferred the earlier Evil Deads, but Mia from the remake, just the look on her in this picture is all you really need to know. She was utterly terrifying in a time where I didn't think horror movies could actually go to that depth anymore. Oh, she's just climbing the ladder all the way. We'll put David actually above Ghostface. But back to Mia. The Deadites, just, you always get something unique from a Deadite possession. They always had that same formula, and they'd had that in the remake, but Mia just, throughout being possessed, set the bar for just the possession. She was just terrifying, and just like, don't let her out of the basement. Good God. And just the way she just talked. Again, a good talking in a horror movie can go a long way, because then you just get that mind games of them talking to you and just talking down and beating you down in certain ways. Mia was fantastic throughout. And I wish they would bring her back. Do another Evil Dead movie, or bring her into the video game. Do something more. Do not let the character Mia just be a one-off, because there's so much more you can do with her. And we talked about the perfect alien with the xenomorph, but if he isn't the perfect alien in your book, this guy might be. We got the Yautja. He's climbing that ladder. He's going to go above. This is close between the alien, the xenomorph, and the Yautja predator. I'll put him right below. Yeah, I'm going to put him below it. Just formidable. The weaponry, the invisibility, the way he's a big giant alien with all his technology and all the ability in the world to hunt anything he wants, and yet sticks to a code to where he'll only fight people who can fight back. He'll only fight he'll fight on an honorable terms if he deems you honorable enough to have that fight. And if you beat him, his allies will reward you and just go away. And there's so much to that backstory and the lore that I wish that we could see more of, and I wish they could handle. But definitely in the first Predator movie, in the second Predator movie, even Predators, this design, the look, and just everything they did with this character is why there's always been such an outcry for more. We want more of him. We don't want, no, speaking for myself, I don't want them to redo the Predator, because you're not going to be able to, but show us a movie where we learn more about the Yautja and go into the culture. And there are several ways to do it. Just go into the comics. There's several ways that you can introduce the Yautja culture into movies. But I hope that the last Predator movie didn't kill that chance, because he should not go anywhere. Even the Xenomorph, there are so many more stories they can do. Oh, we got Norman Bates, an interesting killer on the list. Much like the Pow Jigsaw down here, he doesn't have any supernatural powers. He's just crazy. He's had horrible traumas throughout his life. His mother has controlled him. And while he doesn't have any of the cool powers or anything, the look he gives you at the end of the movie, or in the picture here, is just one that haunts you for a lifetime, because of just what's going on in those eyes. But where am I going to rank him on my list? Because he really gave us slashers in a way. He's better than Jennifer. Probably better than the nurses, and maybe painfully, maybe the Djinn. I'm going to give him the top of B. That seems to be the good cutoff in a way between... No, not really, because there's going to be another one. No, he's going into B. He's a great killer. Great motives, scary. Definitely a first for horror in general. But I don't think I could put him above the ones above him. Although he is definitely above the ones who are below him. He's a good middle of the way. Next up, we've got one of my personal favorite monsters again. Definitely can go higher than the Djinn did. It's Pumpkinhead, obviously you can tell I've already got him on screen. But just the whole story of Pumpkinhead, I don't know how you can take such a great monster and this No, get back here. Above Regan, above the Grudge. We'll put him right below Michael. His story of this vengeance monster and going after people, being sick after a group of people who wronged somebody, and that person having to deal with what this monster is doing, is such a great story. And there's so much power in the message of that, of personal responsibility from the ones who did the wrong. And there's the eye for an eye, obviously, from the guy who went out and sought help from the witch and this monster. And the look of this monster is like unlike anything else, with the big elongated shoulders and the just demonic face and the head and just power, and he's everything that could be a really good monster. And probably one of the worst CGI'd ones in the later run, but when they have him just in the practical effects, he's so intimidating and so just terrifying, and I don't understand why they dropped the boat on him, but he's definitely up there. And I keep saying, if you haven't seen the movie, if you haven't read his comics, you should go check out the comics, because those comics are actually really fun and give you a good look into his history and the witch's history and all of the other demons and monsters. But high A, definitely. Alright, here's one that's going into the bottom. Just no. Vampires should always be able to talk. That's one of their high points. The transformation of this guy is just way too much. You could say that it's because of the times and everything, and I would agree with you. That might be the thing with what's going on with his teeth. But the moment I watched this movie, and this is the guy that came on the screen, I struggled to get through it because it just looks bad. Looks really bad, and just everything that he's above sparkling, but that's about above as much high as I give him. Just a bad look that I didn't really like. Next up, we have got Jack Torrance from The Shining, and the way this guy went from a caring dad who was trying to provide for his family to his psychotic rage fall at the end, and where he's just trying to kill his family. And you get that one last redemption, and I'm not talking about Jack Nicholson, I'm talking about Steven Weber. Because this guy was so much better, and you can feel free to hate me for that, and I'll probably hear about that for saying that, but no, Steven Weber was such a better Jack Torrance, because we got the time to see him actually go from the caring dad to the crazy dad to the dad who had just enough strength to save them at the end and be a hero. Unlike Jack Nicholson from the Shining movie, that if he'd killed everyone during the interview, I wouldn't have been surprised. He already seemed crazy the moment he got there, and we just watched him get more crazy. It's just Jack Nicholson being Jack Nicholson and not Jack Torrance. And Steven Weber did a better job and was a lot more terrifying by the end of his movie than Nicholson was at the end of his. Alright, now that controversy's over, and I'm sure you're letting me know about it, we'll move on to the tall man from Phantasms. This guy is a guy that I didn't actually grow up with. I watched later on, after much later on, actually probably a year or two ago, after hearing many people telling me I should watch it. He was definitely an intimidating guy. Definitely a scary guy. Definitely a memorable guy. Just the way he held himself and the way he talked with that low, booming voice. Boy. And I just butchered, but that's okay. He's such a fun killer. Just alien, monster. Even in the bad movies you watch, because this guy's so entertaining. Where would I rank him? I would rank him high. There you go. Yeah, that seems to be a good spot for him. Just the innovating of those little minion things, alien, whatever. Tall man, just at the very end of the first movie of boy, and grabbing Mike up. Oh, I hope it's Mike. I'm pretty sure it's Mike. No, I'm thinking about it, I don't know. Just, yeah, tall man is A. Alright, this last one, I put the devil. And I looked through a lot of devils, and there was only one that really stood out. And that is Peter Stormore's devil from Constantine. And I know Constantine's not a horror movie, or not an outright horror movie. But then I wanted to put the devil on this list. There's only one devil who could be on it. Where would I rank him? His performance above the Jackal, I'll give him A. Just the confidence and the suave, the way he walked, the way he held himself. He knew he was the most powerful thing, and he entered that room, and nothing was going to affect him. And he just walked off everything until obviously Constantine threw him off. But as the devil, you expect that. You expect the confidence. You expect the swagger. He's the guy in the room that gets everyone to look at him. and Peter Stormare did that better than any devil I've seen in TV and movies, minus the TV show Lucifer. I haven't seen it. If I'd seen it, maybe he'd be on here. But like I said, if I haven't seen it, I can't rate it, and that's why I got Peter Stormare here as the devil. And that is the end of my list. Let me know in the comments below where you think I'm wrong. You can check out the tier list over at Tier List Maker and do your own. Let me know, because like I said, the reason I do these tier makers is because I like to see where people stand on said idea. Here, obviously, like I said, it's horror movie villains and killers, and what could be more fun than horror movies, villains, and killers? I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you all for slogging your way through, and I'm sure there's probably going to be some people upset with my list, but that's okay. It happens. It's a personal list. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm glad that I got to do this with you. Have a good day. But wait, there's two more. When I was doing the edit, I realized that there were two who missed the cut. I had their images, they just didn't load in. I guess I slipped up and forgot to put them in the file. Them being obviously what you can see, Candyman and Leatherface. I'm giving Candyman high A. I'm putting him above Carrie, actually, due to the backstory and his look. The lore on him is really good, and with him being that inner city urban legend type deal, it's fascinating. I'm really hoping for big stuff even from the remake. And Leatherface, I'm dropping all the way down. He's still in the A class, but he's right above Jack. He's never been a big fan of Leatherface. He's intimidating, sure, but he's just never been all that interesting. Not too much to say about him. He's decided being a really good look. In the 2003 one, he's actually really intimidating because of the size and the fact that he just motors around. But he's just never been on that top tier. He's top tiered, but not too high the top tier. Alright, thank you. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Alright, bye-bye.